Hi, and welcome to the Sunday chat. I'm Kerri, and
Everybody knows me. I'm Jesse. Welcome to ScienceGal Aquatics Sunday live stream. And we got a great guest today,
yes,
guys.
I'm excited.
Hi, guys. I'm James.
Welcome.
Thanks. This guy right here, this is Blueberry. He's a Panther Chameleon. He's joining us on the cast today. He's a year-and-a-half-old antelope Panther Chameleon. He wasn't at the Chicago Aquashella, and that's because we got him in and we quarantined him. It's recommended that you do that with these guys, especially if you're unsure if they're captive bred or if they're wild caught, especially if they're wild caught. Like he's actually wild caught, which is insane because for wild caughts you expect a little bit more attitude with them, which he does a little bit hit and miss, but I work with him every day, so that he's like this. Everybody always asks me with the captain, you know, the big chameleon that I always bring to Aquashella. They're like, how do you get him like that where you can just walk around with him? And I'm like, doing this. Literally walking around the house with him on my hand or on my shoulder.
Yeah, I was gonna say like right here all the time. Like nudged up.
Oh yeah. Oh man, he was flaring some colors toward the end of the show. He actually went through a shed right before Aquashella, and after the shed, he actually had different color pattern variations, which were really cool and really awesome. Definitely colors I hadn't seen.
He was getting a little more experience. He was wanting to be on the circuit as well. he doesn't want to be sold. He wants to be a showpiece.
Well, and that's what I tell people. So I've had him for a bit, and breeding normally stops with chameleons about the age of 3 years old, and he's 2, so he's getting close to it. And typically when they hit about 3 years old, they call it sexual frustration or whatever, but they pick up an attitude. And so that's why we've been not this guy. This guy's actually for sale. He will be here in a couple of weeks. We're still working with a couple things with him from the quarantine, but we actually have a new chameleon. He is a red and blue antelope Panther Chameleon. He's 6 months old right now, but his name's Hot Rod. And man, he's a little pistol. His colors are just insane.
It sounds like it.
A hot rod. So what he's saying is he's popping.
Very much so. But yeah, I'm hoping to keep bringing the captain to the shows. But if his attitude starts to pick up, then he'll get retired from showing. And I know it's crazy. We actually had a guest at Aquashella that came. He had seen one of my YouTube videos about the captain, and he actually came all the way to Aquashella just to come and pet him and see him.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Well, he's something. And no matter how you try to video, you just don't do it justice. Like he's just way prettier person.
Yeah, the captain, I have seen the captain in person. And he is amazing. Understates it. It really does. It's insane. Well, I was talking to it was Steven I was talking to, and I was standing in front of Blue Dog Aquatics booth, and he goes, "What are you looking at?" And thought I was just looking off into space, and I go, "Look up," and he looks up and goes, "Oh man." He thought I was staring at a stack of 2x4s in a wooden log. I'm like, no, look up, dude.
Oh, it's crazy how many people do that, you know, even though, you know, he's up on, we brought a different branch from this time. That way I was hoping he'd be more visible. And it's funny, we actually had Zen Aqua. They came over and they're like, we're looking for Blue Dog Aquatics booth. And they told us to look for the big branch sticking up in the air. But, yeah, it's crazy how many people miss him. I mean, he's right up there. I actually had a girl scream because he scared her. And that was only because I was holding him right here, like in my chest. And it took her a few seconds too long to realize that it wasn't part of my shirt.
He's really alive.
Right?
Well, with those Aquashella shows, it's even like I've been quite a bit now, and there's so much to look at and so many people around that you just, it takes a time or two to like see everything and take it all in. It takes, and I'm just not the most like observant person to begin with. So sometimes it does take me like the whole weekend to notice things that are like, I should have probably seen that a while ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I thought she was gonna run through through my shrimp rack.
Yeah, your setup was sweet. I liked it.
It was a little small. The Dallas show, we're actually set up in a double booth, and we're actually next to custom cages. So
wow,
we're going to be out in the middle more, so that it was an all right location when they had the. It was an all right location when we had the mechanical shark that was out in front of our booth, and concessions helped a little bit as far as drawing people over there. But I mean, Sunday they took away really both, and it just killed business. But so I'm hoping that with the double booth, it's because we're bringing some more of these guys, and then I think we're bringing 6 males. And then we're bringing a couple of new animals with us. But yeah, hopefully it'll draw in a better crowd. The captain will be at Dallas show. So,
well, I look forward to seeing the captain as always.
Take a second. Welcome, Skipper. He's the first one here. Welcome. And Skull, my phone.
Skull Aquatics, Crystal, Monster Fish Gal.
Welcome.
Paul. Thank you.
Go back up here to the top.
Danikin, I seen you were in here.
Welcome. Hope you're feeling better. Dave, Eric, Holly, a Freaky Fish Lady, welcome.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Freaky Fish Lady. I apologize.
I get to talking, and Brianne, I think she sent everybody over from her chat. #GetGilled. I think that's where.
Okay.
I was eavesdropping best I could earlier. Crystal.
And Patty. Don't forget about Patty.
Yeah, Patty. How can you forget about Patty? This Detroit Shrimp and Aquatics, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Like everybody, thank you.
Oh yeah, Detroit. Yeah, thanks for making me feel
Sandy.
This tall.
Yeah.
Awesome guy, but I have to look up
a
lot.
Well, how do you think I feel?
Well, I know that's how Will is from Custom Cages. Like, I'm pretty tall, and I don't have to look up to many people. But every time he'd come over to my booth and hang out and talk with me, or I'd go talk to him, I'm like,
yeah,
getting my neck.
Yeah, I'm 5'4". If I have like extremely good posture and slight bigger shoes, I'm like 5'4" if I push it. So everybody's like, hi.
No, he was so cool to talk to. Great guy, but that's why I was like, man, I got to take a step back, or I'm getting old. I'm gonna have a crink in my neck.
Right.
Yeah, it was just every time I go, it's fun. Like it doesn't disappoint. It's just so much fun.
Oh, I know. We've only been Chicago was our second one, and I mean it just keeps getting better and better. And the customers that we have come, and I mean it's just awesome meeting so many people. And I swear to God, the captain is just like he's a movie star now because he gets more pictures than I do.
Yeah. I think he's made an appearance in most videos now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The Orlando Aquashella, he actually had, I think I counted it. It was like 2,200 pictures taken in that weekend.
Oh, I believe it easily.
And then Chicago was, he had right about 1,000 pictures taken.
Yeah.
All that's that's awesome for you. And do you have like a home base, a home store that you actually just work out of?
So right now, everything's out of my house. I started with all these guys. Originally, I started with just shrimp, and then I moved into more of the aquatics. And then thanks to my buddy Ben Beta, I came home with 36 betas. It was kind of an exchange, and he wanted his sister-in-law wanted tarantulas, so we did a swap. And I'm like, what am I going to do with 36 betas? But yeah, everything's run out of my house right now. We have 8 chameleons. This is one of them. This is Blueberry. And then we have we are so outgrowing the house in the aspect of it's harder to sell when it's in my house, but we're actually hopefully closing on a deal this week on a storefront here in Omaha, Nebraska.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Oh yes, 100%. Because I'm like, man, my basement's gonna be so empty. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
All this space, I get to have more stuff.
Well, and I actually bought the paludarium from Custom Cages.
Yeah.
That is still sitting in my trailer because I have nowhere to put it.
I was gonna ask you later on how the Tetris, or is it Tetris, like game? Like getting everything back in there because.
Oh yeah, when the teardown happened, it was insane, and that he had told me that was going on. I was like, "Are you even going to be able to put a feather in that trailer?"
Yeah, because you said it was packed full before you even went. I was like, "Man, he got so many cool things. Like, how is he going to put that?" And I felt bad because we had to leave, and I was like, I wanted to stay and help, and I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Well, and it was funny because when we started tearing down, I was gonna back the trailer up in the loading ramp so we could load that paludarium. And the lady because the fire marshal showed up at the end. And
I seen Captain Cop.
Yeah, he's like, nope. And she's like, you can't park there. And I'm like, are you planning on dragging this trailer all the way across? I'm like, that's a big ass tank. I'm like, all we want to do is load that one tank, and then I'll move. And she's like, nope. So I went and I literally parked like right in the middle of the entryway because I'm like, I'm not going to drag this tank all the way across the parking lot. And so
I would take the chance of it getting broken.
Right, exactly. I mean, it was on carts and everything, but still, I mean, that's a
still.
Thing. And so we're literally rolling it out to put it in the trailer, and she's like, "Okay, they're allowing you to put that one tank in." And I'm like, "Lady, the door's already open. We're already in motion. This is too late."
Yeah, if you think I'm moving, you got another thing coming.
And so a lot of the other vendors were giving me hell. They're like, "Oh, Blue Dog Aquatics, he's Mr. Big and Bad. He takes up the whole parking lot."
There was time to break down. Everybody swarmed that back with there's a system, and you just move out of the way. You help where you can, but you better get out of the way because that stuff's coming out that door, and they're leaving. And just move.
And so when we actually showed a short video of us prepping and everything for Aquashella Chicago, and it was we have our big water tank that we transport RO, and that's just for the beneficial. After Orlando, I was like, no, I'm bringing water that way. I know my water parameters are good, and everything. And especially, I mean, we brought 1,000 shrimp in to sell, and I'm like, no, I'm not losing that kind of money on a fault of having to use tap water or whatever. Not saying that there's anything wrong with tap water. It's just not my system, not my process. But yeah, we had pretty well everything low to the ground when we were loading up. And then when we were loading out of Aquashella Chicago, we had the water tank still that is strapped to the wall. And I'm like, and it really doesn't do justice on aquariums or paludariums until they're in a smaller space. When they're in a big auditorium like the event was, you're like, oh, okay, it's not that big.
Oh, I can do it.
And then you get it in your trailer and you're like, I got like 4 feet to the back and I haven't even started loading mine. And I had also gotten with the driftwood guys, and we had picked up like 40 some pieces, like large pieces of driftwood for different designs that we're going to do through different videos. And I'm like, crap. So I'm literally like on top, climbing on top of the paludarium, climbing on top of the stand and everything, and packing everything in the top. And then it was all the way back. And then we finally started loading up our stuff.
Uh-huh.
We actually had to put stuff in the back of the pickup because we ran out of room.
I was going to say, there's that.
And for everybody in the chat, that would be Pet World that he's talking about. I'm almost positive.
The driftwood?
Yeah. He was, and yeah, they come up. I don't even know where they get some of those pieces, but
they're cool though.
They're incredible.
Oh yeah, I got an amazing root piece system that's actually going to be perfect for when the paludariums reset back up.
Wow. I wouldn't, like, if anything's going to get me into reptile, it would be chameleons. They're my favorite.
Oh,
any type of setup, it would most definitely. And I don't know anything about keeping them. So, because I want one, where do I even start? Like, how do I even set up a paludarium?
Well, and see, you don't need paludariums for chameleons. Chameleons actually can't swim.
Yeah, just an enclosure, I guess. Because what is there's paludariums and vivariums. I can't even say it, much less set it up.
So chameleons are actually best in screen enclosures, and if you get them, I recommend people getting them between 6 months and a year, because that way they're still young enough and they don't kind of get set in the way of an attitude. Actually, when the captain, when we first got him, no. He actually took a chunk. He literally bit my thumb, and I had to get stitches from it.
Wow.
They got little tiny teeth that are razor sharp, and like you just saw, he's a little jumpy because we've only had him for a month or so. So it's still working with him a lot and getting him comfortable with being held. And that's the thing too, is there's two type of chameleon owners. There is the type like me that takes them to shows and works with them a lot so kids can pet them, and and there are so many awesome kids that love petting the captain, and there's also the other type of people that want them in the enclosure and that's it. They are there to look at. And actually, most chameleons are that way. They'd rather you just leave them alone. Throw me some food and I'm good. So if you do want to work with them a lot, I recommend people only bring them out maybe a couple of times a week and never around feeding. Because feeding is already a stressful time for them because they're hunting. You can just add to that and cause them to go into a spiral, and they'll actually stop eating because they're afraid that every time they eat, you're going to come in and grab them.
Yeah.
But as far as setups, so for a 6 month-old chameleon, which is about a third to a fourth of the size of him. He's about a foot in length, tail to nose, and oh yeah, that's crazy, right? He can support his entire weight from his tail.
Dang.
They will sit there from trees. And but for a 6 month-old, you want to do probably a 1 by 1 by 2. They do need that vertical space. And then these guys are actually in custom built enclosures that I built, and they're in 2 by 2 by 5, and that's what you want for full-grown males. That way they got plenty of space. The biggest thing with these guys is lighting and heating. They do need a UV source, and you're gonna pay a little bit because when you get into a 5-foot tall enclosure, that's going to use, and obviously they're going to chill up near the top, near the UV rays, but you want a light that's going to be able to penetrate about at least half of the enclosure. And then the heat source, I mean, these guys have, well, he doesn't, the captain does. The captain's got a 250 watt heat lamp, and that heats up the entire corner. The top of the enclosures you want to be between 90 and 100 degrees because that's what they are in Madagascar.
Oh man.
And that's actually where these guys are from, is Madagascar. And they actually get their name Ambelope or Amjas or nosy bees on what province of Madagascar they're from. So he's an antelope. That means that he's from the Ambelope province of Madagascar. But with heating, you know, you got to have 90 to 100 up top. Then you got to have at the bottom somewhere between 70 and 80, because you got to allow them to go up, bask, and then they have to be able to go to a spot where they can cool off.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found out a piece of information about these guys. I mean, I'm always learning, you know, and I'm always willing to learn. Red lights. So originally I had one just red light so I could see the chameleons at night and see the transformation of their color.
Uh-huh.
But red bulbs can actually make these guys go blind. It's something in their orbital site that is affected by the red, and yeah, over time it can cause them to go blind.
Huh.
We actually have one downstairs. He is blind, but he came in that way. So he takes a little bit more working with. He'll never be for sale. He's always one of mine, but he's a big sweetheart. And then as far as the inside of the enclosure, I recommend people to use live plants. That helps with the humidity, because these guys need between 75 and 80% humidity. And that, I'll step away from the inside of the enclosure because humidity is key for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And a way to achieve that is A, live plants. B, they need to be misted in the morning and right before the lights go off for about 3 to 5 minutes. And the reason it's between 3 and 5 minutes is chameleons are curious when it comes to new things, and they'll actually go up and they'll drink a little bit, but they don't realize that, this is when I'm supposed to clean my eyes or soak up my body. And so they'll actually sit there, and you can actually see them under the mister just rotating their eyes, and they're cleaning the lenses in their eyes. They're the only animal out there with full 360 independent moving eyes.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really, I mean, it's kind of cool when I look at them and I see them pointing different ways, but it's even creepier when they look both at you. Because I'm like, no,
like, really, what am I doing to get both of them into
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Hi, Verlo.
But so, yeah, misting first thing in the morning and then right before the lights go off. And then in order to achieve that, which will also help with keeping your plants watered and everything, I run foggers from midnight to 5 a.m. and that's to help keep the humidity up. That way, when the lights first come on, bam, that humidity is already starting to climb.
Oh, so they need to live in Alabama, Mississippi. They need all the humidity.
Oh yeah, that tropical.
It'd be okay right here outside right now, like.
Oh yeah, these guys love the outside. But yeah, that tropical environment, and that is key. And when you're going to pick out live plants, do your research, because there are so many plants that are toxic to these guys. I think there's maybe a list of like 30 or 40 plants across the world that are okay for these guys. So, and then
I'll just call you. What do I need?
Hey, I have people call me all the time or send me messages asking what they need to set up, and I have no problem, because I would rather you go the right route and set up an enclosure properly, so that way you have this animal for a long, long time. Males can live 8 to 12 years, normally about the 8-year mark in captivity, and then females are between 5 and 6 years. Actually, once a female lays eggs, it actually cuts her lifespan by about half. And that's because it's so traumatic on their body that it just dwindles it down. A female chameleon at 6 months old, we'd had our first one, and she laid 16 fertile eggs and 1 slug, which is slug is infertile.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really small clutch for a chameleon. Chameleons normally can lay anywhere between 20 and the record right now is 70 eggs at a time. They'll hold their eggs for about 2 to 4 weeks. And see, chameleons are very particular, especially females are. I put lay bins in there, that way because you got live plants. I recommend if you put live plants in there, do not depot them. Leave them in the pots. Make sure all the fertilizer and all that junk is out of them. But anytime you get a female that's pregnant, remove the pot, put extra vines or branches in there, and put a lay bin. And what a lay bin is, it is a mixture of topsoil and play sand. It's about 1 foot by 1 foot, and what it does is the proper ratio of water to sand to topsoil. You should be able to stick your hand in there and remove it, and it keeps that form. Because that's what females do, is they'll dig a cavern, turn around, lay all the eggs, and then they'll bury them. But if a female doesn't feel that the environment is correct, she will actually hold on to the eggs, and she'll become egg bound and die. The only time your chameleon should ever be on the floor or on the bottom of the terrarium is if she's laying eggs. That is the only time they should be down there. And then
the Zen Ginger had a comment to go with the humidity we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And she asked if the humidity, like she lives in Houston, the climate, if it's over 50% humidity, even in the house, do you have to worry?
Yes. Yes, and that's because of, so you can't soak chameleons. They absorb everything through their skin. So like a bearded dragon, when they're having a tough shed or whatever, you put them in a soak or a soak bin and leave them there for like 20 minutes and they're good to go. Well, if you were to do that with a chameleon, they'd die because they would be overhydrated because they absorb it all through the skin. And that's the key factor of the humidity, is these guys have such sensitive eyes that they need that humidity so that, and they grow. Oh man, it is crazy how rapidly they grow. And so they're always shedding. And it's like an exploding piñata when these guys shed. Because one day you can see them, they're pretty well white, and then boom, they're just like pieces all off of them. It was like an explosion happened. But yeah, even in Houston, you still need to make sure that it wouldn't be as difficult to keep that humidity up. I think that if you just did misting in the morning and at night, you would keep that 70 to 80% humidity, especially with already 50%. But I always recommend foggers at night. It's just extra nutrients, and you get when you use a fogger, it brings in all the water droplets on all of the plants, and so that also gives your chameleon another chance to drink. Chameleons can get dehydrated very easily, but I hope that answered the question. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask on that, and I can try to clarify them even more. But as far as branches are very crucial when it comes to enclosures for chameleons. You need not only vertical, but you need horizontal branches, and a lot of them. A good rule of thumb is to keep the top branch. So you're going to have screen all the way around. And why you have screen all the way around is for air movement. These guys need a lot of ventilation. I actually have a PVC airline running around my basement for my aquariums. And I actually have one of the lines coming into each one of the chameleons enclosures just to help circulate the air. But when you have your lights on the top, you don't want these guys to get burned. I have a new chameleon, and I swear to God, he's special. Because he walked in not 2 seconds into the enclosure and tried biting the light. And then he sat there for a minute just scratching his face like, oh, man, that was hot. And I'm like, oh, man, you're going to be one of these. If you can, so on lighting, you want to use T5s. T8s will not penetrate through screen. T5s will. But I recommend keeping the top vertical branch about 8 to 12 inches from their basking bulb. That way, when they're laying there on that branch, they're not getting baked and burned. When you put big bushy plants in there, you want to make sure that they have lots of places to hide. The rule of thumb with plants in a terrarium for chameleons is when you look in the terrarium, it should take you a couple of minutes to find your chameleon. If you can look in and see him right away, there's not enough coverage there for him. And you need branches to go from the top to the bottom. Oh man, I swear to God, I spend like an hour on each terrarium just placing branches here and there, zip tying them, and
yeah, that would take me days, if not weeks or months, to try to set it up just right, because it would be my first time trying, so I'd have some practice runs I would need to do to get it just right, I think.
Oh, 100%. Well, and so chameleons actually can't drink stagnant water. So when people put bowls of water in the bottom, they won't drink that because they don't recognize it as a form of nutrients. They're used to the rainfall coming down, and that's how they get their water. And I'm not disclosing from big box stores, but when you see those trees that have the water feature in it where it drips, those are big. They're known for collecting bacteria, and that bacteria will transfer to your chameleon and cause all kinds of health issues.
It looks pretty, but that's not what they want.
No. Basic. The closer you can resemble the natural environment, that's what they want. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be messed with. Even though, when we were down in Chicago, everybody's like, "Oh, they're so pretty," but nobody wants the females. And I'm like, "Hey, dude, without the female, you wouldn't have a male." So, but these guys, yes, don't fight me. Yes, I would sell them, but I don't want to sell them to people that are inexperienced. I mean, obviously, if you order them online, that's the risk. I'm obviously going to put all the information on my website and everything, which we are still adding these guys on there. But you just got to do so much research before. I mean, I think I did right around 6 months of research before the captain was my first chameleon.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I did 6 months of research before I even owned them. And I bought a terrarium, and I probably redid that thing like 3 or 4 times because not all information on the internet is correct, as we know. Mm-hmm. You need to make sure that what you're reading is legit. And if you have questions, you can ask reputable breeders what they do. My buddy over at 402 Exotics, he's an amazing breeder. And he's always willing to offer questions and answers as well as I am. These guys, the biggest expense for them is they can eat and eat and eat. Most chameleons are actually overweight, and actually, so the top of their head, let's see if we can show it. Right here, I might get bit, so we'll see, because he doesn't like this yet. The top of their head, it should be pretty flat on an envelope. And that's actually where they store their fatty cells. And so if your chameleon your chameleon should be very slim. Everybody's like, "Oh, I can see its ribs." That's okay. That's fine. That's normal. It's when you can't see the ribs and you see a bulb pushing up on the top of their head, that means your chameleon's overweight. If you see their cheeks kind of sunken in and that dome on the top kind of flattened down, they're either dehydrated or they're underfed. These guys, I recommend crickets and dubias and hornworms. You only really want to or not hornworms, but yes, hornworms are good treats for these guys. As far as rehydrating them, if your chameleon is dehydrated, perfect form to help them rehydrate is hornworms. But superworms and mealworms, these guys can have a hard time digesting them because the superworm has such a hard exoskeleton, but they're an excellent form of protein if your chameleon is underweight. Blueberry here, he eats every other day, and he gets probably a young adult dubia. Now, like anything else, any other reptile, these guys do need to be supplemented and dusted, or all their food needs to be dusted. The big thing with that is you need to dust with calcium 2 to 3 times a week without D3, and then once a week with D3.
Gotcha. Zen had a question. Is there a good humidity control system and lights you prefer using brand wise or overall?
So I actually got the the Mist King is actually what I use for my chameleons, and that's because it has multiple nozzles, so I can run it off of all my terrariums. And then it also has a timer on it, so that helps where I can set it up, and I don't even have to control it. I do go down and visually verify that my chameleons are drinking, but you won't always see that. It's not going to happen a lot. But these guys, they have their name for a reason. They like to hide. My little female panther, oh my God, it takes me like 8 minutes trying to find her.
Location.
And normally when that happens, she's like right in front of me on a branch, just like I see her like turn over. She's like, "Are you looking for me?" But yeah, the Mist King's what I use. You can just go to your local Menards or hardware store for timers. There's no sense in spending, I think it was like 30 some bucks on a reptile timer. They do the same thing. I like the digital ones, and that's just because I'm old. But and then as far as foggers, you can go on to Amazon. They actually have let me grab it. Yeah.
There we go, folks. Product placement.
This right here has a timer built in it for the fogger, or you can set it up on its own timer like I do. But these have a really big holding tank. Oh yeah, that's Bubba, my dog walking behind. They have a really big tank, and so that when you're fogging from midnight to 5 a.m., I think I refill it or top them off about every 3 days, so it's not terrible. Lighting, honestly, you're going to pay for what you get, and I order Zoomed lights. They are made specifically for chameleons, and it is just the best route. Everybody tries to cut corners, and they're like, "Oh, I'll go to Menards and I'll buy this like shop light, and then I'll put this bulb in it," and it's just a whole lot of back and forth. And yes, it may work. I'm not saying it won't, but it's better staying safe with people that actually make lights for reptiles. The same way with saltwater guys, they buy the lights that help their coral, and the same reason why us with planted aquariums in the freshwater world, we buy planted light aquarium or planted lights for aquariums. So
yeah, I'd rather just be safe than sorry.
Yeah, always much better. What's up, Craig, T-Bone, and Aquafunk has a question, and we'll just generalize it real quick. He wants to know what plants that chameleons that are safe for. So what would be your top plants?
He asked what they shouldn't eat.
Well, yeah, but that list could go on forever. So we'll go with what is James's favorite plants to put in that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it is the lady bamboo is my favorite. And when you go to the store, I can't even pronounce the scientific name on it, but when you go to your nurseries and stuff like that, make sure to search the scientific name and see what the common name is. Because when people on Google and everything make the list of what plants are safe for chameleons, and there's a couple different lists, so make sure that you're cross-referencing which ones are actually safe. They'll have the common names and not the scientific names. Now, there are multiple species of bamboo plants, and so the lady bamboo is actually it'll actually have its scientific name behind it on the list. For the sheer fact of this one in particular is safe, but not all bamboo plants are safe. Like a lot of bamboo is safe for cats and dogs, but there are certain bamboo plants that are toxic. And yeah, these guys love to chew on plants. The bamboo plant, they've already been, my veil chameleon downstairs, she's already been shredding it. And it's been in there for like 3 days. If you want to go a tree aspect, crabapple trees are safe. Not all fruit trees are. Most fruit trees are toxic to chameleons.
Oh, that's cool.
I was actually really surprised to find out that crabapple trees were okay.
There's one.
Yeah. Talking to the tree guy, I can get way in depth on this topic. We use that one outside. So on top of having your chameleon inside, we like to bring the chameleons outside and put them on a tree so that they can also get natural UVB light directly from the sun. And you'll actually see your chameleon go from, so he's a vibrant blue and, there's the camera, teal and green. And nope, don't grab the camera. He says, but please,
I'll give you
I was so close.
But you'll actually see them go to almost a solid black. And that's so that, like when we wear black shirts outside, we get really hot. And it's the same aspect for them. They're actually trying to attract the sunlight to them so they get all that natural light. But yeah, the biggest thing I can say with plants is just research. Stay away from like oak trees and maple trees. Those are highly toxic to them. There is what's it called? It's a coffee bean tree that is okay for
Kentucky coffee bean.
Yep. I have not found one here because they're always sold out. And mulberry trees are okay for chameleons.
All right. Well, I know what I'm bringing you to Dallas.
I feel like we got those everywhere, but I don't know.
Kentucky coffee bean we have in Missouri. It's not a wide species, but which type of mulberry would you prefer? Do you prefer the white mulberry, the regular mulberry, or the black mulberry?
Well, considering I can't find any of those three here in Nebraska, I would settle with just a normal one.
The white mulberry is more of a dwarf type.
Okay.
We opened the box.
Yeah.
Talked about trees.
Yeah, if you open the box on trees, then you're in trouble.
No tree talk.
Yeah. It went from reptiles and fish to way over here to the other side of the spectrum.
Hi, Ed.
Oh, hey, Ed. But yeah, it's crazy because we have a nursery. It's called Mulhall's here in Omaha, and I swear to God, because I was looking for a mulberry tree to use outside, and also if you're going to place an aquarium or a terrarium outside, some people do this for their monitors and lizards and stuff like that. You need to make sure that your state is warmer than 70 degrees at night, because you will freeze these guys to death. Or they need to have a way of coming back into the house to warm up. There was a guy I seen, he had the coolest invention ever. He literally had an egress window that he converted into a terrarium, and he had a heat bulb on the inside and then natural light on the outside. And that chameleon could go back and forth. And I was like, so what happens if your house is on fire? You're kind of screwed.
Yeah, but he's not. He's like, peace out. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Natural light's that way. I'm going.
But anyway, I walked around. Me and my girlfriend were walking around the molehills or the nursery for a good couple of hours because it's a big place, and we're looking for mulberry tree. And of course, when you're looking to find someone to ask them if they have the tree, can't find anybody. So we did a lap of the entire place only to come back, and all of them are sitting at the little snack bar. And I'm like, "You got mulberry trees?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, "You should probably put up a sign somewhere saying you don't have mulberry trees."
Well, I guess I'll walk out in the backyard and get him one of the white ones.
Is that what's just on the fence?
Yeah, back there in the back corner.
Oh,
yeah.
we got that for days. You can have as much as you want, and yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I cut them down all the time, but yeah, I'll go get him a small one.
That's awesome.
Oh, we got it everywhere. I was gonna say that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I don't know that. Stuff
Yeah,
like
it's over there by the garden. Yeah, that's the thing I keep butchering back.
We have a locust tree out here that I killed last year when I remodeled my house, and then it looks like a small bush because it's, even though we tore on it and I should have just ground up the freaking stump, but it's making a comeback, and my neighbor's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's a tree that hates us."
Yeah, locust trees are awful.
Oh
yeah. Again, unfortunately, back to tree talk. Yeah, I have chemical for that it will never, ever, 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 ever come back.
I believe that.
Back with like spikes, like are huge, just stuck in his hand. I had locust trees today. Leave me alone. He's just sitting picking out needles out of his arms, fingers. Like, oh, that looks painful.
No, I can take care of both of those situations. I know how to fix those problems.
Well, how do you feed them? Do you hand feed them, or do you have like tongs? You just put like, how do you feed them?
So this is kind of controversy in the chameleon world on how to feed them properly. What I do, because I have so many, is, well, okay, also depends on if there's a so like, as you probably heard, the captain was sick and almost died a couple of months ago. He literally escaped out of his enclosure while we were working on it, pulled a little Houdini on me, and was only out of my sight for 10 minutes. But when he was out, he ate a cricket that had poison. And so he got really sick. And chameleons, like any other reptiles, they will hide how they feel until they are in pretty bad shape. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, with rehydrating and everything like that and supplements, he came back and obviously was able to come to the show and everything. But the biggest thing I can say is do not tongue feed. And there's a reason for that. And that's because your reaction time is a lot slower than what their tongue can come out at.
Yeah.
And you can actually detach their tongue because of your slow reaction time. So it happens not often, but it does happen. I recommend that if you're feeding a chameleon, and let's say it's your only one, you can hold a cricket or something in your hand and let them sit up. You always want to hold it below them because that's where they're going to feel safe. Mm-hmm. And then they'll hit it and eat it and everything. I have so many chameleons that I actually have little cups that are in their enclosure. And I walk by in the morning and I put all the food into all their enclosures. And then at night, I make sure that everybody ate. I put an exact amount. That way I know.
Who ate what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Who ate what and how much they're eating. And that also shows me if someone's not feeling well. Female panthers, they can go a while when they're, I'm trying to keep it PG. When they're pregnant, they actually go a little bit, a few weeks without eating, and that's pretty normal. And that's because their body's doing all the changes and everything. But if you have a panther that is just not eating, either A, he's dehydrated or something's wrong. the enclosure might be too hot. So you can get them on Amazon for fairly cheap. They're one of the laser temperature guns.
Mhm.
They're perfect when you have a lot of aquariums to tell how hot your aquarium is.
Yeah, I thought I had one right here, but I guess I don't.
Yeah, mine's all the way downstairs. And then I know it's a little expensive, but UVB lights should be changed out every 6 months. They'll still be on, but they're not doing the job. And so there's actually a UVB tester that you can point at the UVB light, and it tells you how much it is actually putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's been a lot of people that get them and pointed at it and said, "Oh yeah, it's 0%. It's putting out nothing except for light."
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, either cup feeding or out of the hand. When people get new chameleons in, they want to handle them right away, and they're like, "Oh my God, my chameleon's not eating, it's not drinking." Well, when they're shipped two ways. If they're small enough, they're shipped in a cup with a stick in it, so they have something to hold on to. And your branches never want to be bigger than what their paws are. Especially, so he's a key example. When he came to us, he's wild caught. He has 0 nails, none. And they use nails to hold on to wood and everything like that. So he actually has to stay in a little bit smaller enclosure just so that if he does fall, he'll fall into the plants and not fall to his death or get really injured.
Yeah, he won't take a nosedive.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, T-Bone's Fishes, for the $5 Australian dollars super sticker, and tag me and thank you for the $5 super sticker.
Thank T-Bone. Thank you, Chattanooga. And then I also seen there was a question up earlier.
Do the crickets have to be alive to feed them?
Yes. Chameleons will not eat dead. They can actually smell the. So they have little pits, and let's see if he'll let me show you. No, he's not gonna let me do it. They have little pits on the sides of their nose, and that's their sensory organ. They can actually tell how long that cricket's been dead. If it's like freshly dead, like within like minutes, yeah, they'll probably take it. But if it's something that's been sitting, they're not going to eat it because it's when crickets die, they dehydrate and become very hard, and so there's no nutrients in there for them. And also on that note, anytime you feed a chameleon, you want to make sure that you're gut loading your insects because they are insectivores. So like if you're doing superworms on occasion, you want to put potatoes, sliced up potatoes in their bucket. And if you guys want to see a video on that, let me know, and I can do a whole video on how to care for superworms. But crickets, you can put oranges. You got to be careful with certain fruits because some are acidic to chameleons. So just do your research on that. My dubias, what I do is I actually use rabbit food because it's packed full of vitamins. And then I have the little hydration gels. And so they absorb all the water and all the food and eat all that. And then when the chameleon eats it, well, now the chameleon gets all that nutrients and everything like that.
Yeah, that's rabbit food's nothing but, I mean, high protein grasses, basically.
Yeah.
90% of it.
Oh, 100%.
How do you?
That depends on, I mean, because usually it's an alfalfa base. And, I mean, if you rehydrate alfalfa, the protein content of alfalfa is off the charts.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh, yeah. It's unreal. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, these guys eat better than I do.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Does this work? I have this.
That'll work for like dubias and crickets. Yeah.
I have this.
Yeah, that'll work too.
And then I have this. These. There's those cubes you were talking about.
No.
Okay.
Hold on. Give me. 2 seconds. I'm gonna switch out chameleons.
Okay.
And I'll grab the stuff.
Then I think we have time for. I have one more question before Skipper's stream starts.
We haven't even got to his shrimp yet.
I know.
We stuck on chameleons. We haven't even moved
They're
over.
so cool. If I'm gonna invest in anything, I could watch them walk. They're little. It's their feet and how they walk.
Thank you, everybody that's in the chat.
Yes, thank you for being
Please,
here.
I appreciate all the super chats. Hit the like and share all this stuff out, please, for her, because we are going to just keep going up and up and up.
I've been editing, you guys. Like, really, I've been trying to edit, and I'm so proud of myself. I should have a video out tomorrow. I'm so proud.
And I'm sure there's so many people in the chat that we have missed.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those too. Okay.
Yeah, these work really well for dubias and everything.
Okay, because I tried to grow those roaches for my arowana for a while, and I did good for a while, but then it just went downhill. So I have they're not the newest. They're probably expired, but I do still have some supplies for the crickets and stuff that I still have here and there. But
yeah, you guys can see. So here's the captain. He's shedding a little bit on this side of his face. You can see it behind his face.
Oh yeah,
he's shedding a little bit. And I think he shed for the most part before we went to Aquashella, but he obviously didn't do it before. Well, get it completely, which it does happen. Yeah, I heard something about my shrimp. I didn't get to them.
We didn't even get to talk about shrimp.
Oh yeah, we hadn't even moved to the other side of the spectrum yet.
Chameleons are just so cool. But you did have a good setup. You had a little bit of everything at the show. You had shrimp and the reptiles.
So I actually
have these too.
I actually have 36 species of freshwater shrimp. We have a lot of reptiles. We got 8 chameleons right now. But yeah, we brought in 1,000 shrimp to Chicago. We only brought 500 to Orlando, and man, they sold out like no tomorrow. Chicago didn't sell out as quickly, but I think we came home with like 400, which is all right. And then Dallas, I think we're going to be bringing about 700. So we try to bring the most popular and the most common shrimp, because when we were in Orlando, people were like, well, you don't have green jades, but you have green emeralds. And I'm like, yes, same shrimp, just higher grade. But they wanted that bright green that green emeralds have, and then green jades. This show at Aquashella Chicago, we sold out of we sold out of Blue Dream the first day. We also sold our tortoises off within the first 2 hours. So, and then I sold a monitor to kids that
Blue Dream's the one freshwater shrimp you never have luck with.
Yeah, it's the one I just don't. I have the worst luck with them, and I felt like I ran my butt off this show. I worked pretty hard. I walked like 9 miles, I think, the first day, 8.6 miles, and I don't even know 9 or 8 the last day, because I was just running, trying to find this and helping with that. And I was like, by the end of the show, I was like, I forgot to even look at the show. I forgot to go through the entrance. So I ran up to the front. I was like, I gotta get the entrance. But I was like, man, before I even knew it, the show was over. And I was like, I didn't even get to buy anything really.
Oh yeah.
The chameleons have already come back, and the Zen Ginger, a good cross reference. Could you feed the duckweed to chameleons? It's high protein and hydrated.
He's shaking.
He says no.
No, they won't eat it. They're not. There are, and let me clarify on that. There are some chameleons out there that will take veggies, or they'll eat various plants. But if it's just a pile of plants, none of mine ever have. My buddy over at 402 Exotics, his haven't. And duckweed has to be fresh. Even if it's like So if you were to feed it to a chameleon, it would have to be saturated. You'd have to dose it with, like, do a light dusting and maybe a little bit of calcium just to add in a little bit extra. And then if they didn't take it within the first 20 minutes of being in there, you'd have to take it out because that light, that heat source gets so hot for them that
it would cook it.
Yeah, it'd cook it. But actually, something you can do with duckweed is you can actually dry out duckweed and then crush it up and actually feed it to your shrimp or feed it to your freshwater fish. And it's just a big circle of life thing.
Yeah. Well, before we go, because Skipper is about to start, is there anything that you want to promote? Do you have any videos coming out this soon or anything you want to promote really quick besides check out your channel?
Yeah, check out our channel. We also have a video coming out tomorrow on our green tree python. That's another one that is very complicated when it comes to breeding and all that. We're always doing, if you have recommendations for videos you want to see as far as like the shrimp or any certain shrimp in particular, let us know and we'll do one on it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been wanting to do some independent husbandry videos on each individual shrimp. But we've been focusing on the Aquashella shows and all that. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, come check us out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. So
Yeah.
Got all the bases covered.
Well,
folks.
thank you for the conversation. It's been fantastic.
yeah, absolutely.
And hi, Lisa. Bye, Lisa. But thank you guys everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. And we will be back next Sunday.
Yep.
So thank you. And we'll see everybody over at Skipper's chat. So talk soon.
See
Bye.
ya.